We still have to allow public accommodations. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, this is the only municipality I've been, like, when we do Zoom, we don't allow public comment via Zoom. So you know how to.
Yeah, I mean, we did it before and then, after it's posted, there was a new bill, or we had to decide one way or the other.
Yeah.
That way.
If the city is going to resume doing public comment via Zoom, I think like doing a Zoom bombing provision would be good.
Yeah, I think it's just a. Patience.
Derek saying because it was posted. I think I see.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Oh, okay. No worries. Okay, so I guess I could turn this off, right? Oh, you back?
Yeah.
Why is it? Why is it frozen? It's not. Yeah, I'm on.
Pam, let me know.
Frozen. Yes, hold on, for just 1 minute.
You just close it.
I know, but it looks frozen, don't you see? I wonder if the webcam is frozen.
No, so I think we have.
Okay.
No, that's it. Okay, that's daughter.
Yeah, I'm in the meeting. Close. You could shrink that. Close that. There you go. Now we could cloud now, right? Yes.
I end up doing another thing.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get started. Pam, can you please do a roll call?
Yes. Councilmember Reardon,
Here.
Councilmember Swift, Councilmember Feist not here at this time. Vice Mayor Cirque is absent, and Mayor Gunselman.
Here.
We have quorum, ma'am.
Can you all join me for the pledge? I'm going to open the public forum in just a minute here. Just a reminder, under the Brown Act, the council is not permitted to respond to any discussion items that are not on the agenda. However, the city manager may be able to address some comments and questions in his city manager's report, which immediately follows the public comment. Please refrain from applause or booing between speakers so everybody's comfortable sharing their views. And speaking time is limited to 5 minutes. Would anybody like to join us for a comment on an item not on the agenda?
Ma'am, hold on, just turn on the microphone. Hold on, let me help you.
It's on now, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. My name is Susan Ross, 30 years Sutter Creek resident, and I wish to speak to the approval of the Embark Cannabis Dispensary in Sutter Creek. Thank you, City Council, for your thoughtful and thorough work for our community and stewardship of our town. I do not condone the misuse or abuse of any legal substance, be it alcohol, cannabis, or prescription medication. Implementation of robust education programs and vigilant law enforcement are necessary in all communities. I do, however, support the right of legal businesses to conduct business in our city and county. And therefore, I support the approval of the Embark Cannabis Dispensary pending fulfillment of all local requirements. Cannabis dispensaries are legal and highly regulated in California, ensuring a clean product and accurate labeling in a safe, professional setting. and as so, they deserve thoughtful consideration. We live in a city and county whose economy is largely based on the legal substance, alcohol. They are the wine and tourist industries. To discount Embark because it sells cannabis, also a legal substance, is not only discriminatory, but highly hypocritical. Unlike alcohol, cannabis contains medicinal properties which are helpful in quelling nausea, encouraging appetite, relieving pain, calming anxiety, encouraging sleep, and even controlling seizures in ways prescription medicine fails. I have visited 2 cannabis dispensaries. Parking was readily available. There were no crowds or underage people hanging around. A guard let us in, and we were required to give our acceptable ID, which was checked and verified. Law requires that customers be 21 years of age or older, or 18 and above with a prescription. Numerous types of cannabis products were displayed in cases and on shelves behind the counter. A knowledgeable salesperson helped me to select the products to address my needs. Each time, it was comfortable, safe, and a pleasant experience. Cannabis dispensaries literally surround our county and contiguous counties. Cannabis dispensaries are California legal and flourishing across the state. They are here to stay. We can embrace this opportunity now, requiring the safety, education, and other factors necessary, and be grateful for the additional sorely needed revenue it will bring to our city. Or we can decline the opportunity and watch as a neighboring city in our own backyard grasps the opportunity and runs with it. I support the Embark Cannabis Dispensary. The benefits greatly outweigh the risks, which can be readily analyzed and mitigated. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Would anyone else care to make a public comment?
My name is Anthony Spinetta. I'm a 4th-generation Amador County resident. I graduated from Amador County High School in 1985. For the past 3 years, I've rented an office directly across Ridge Road from the site of the former Umpqua Bank. For full disclosure, Councilmember Swift is my landlord. And I fully support Embark facility moving into that location. I think the use of the building is perfectly consistent with the zoning of the parcel and with zoning of adjacent parcels. I think that the building is very, very visible to anyone who may be going past, and I think that in and of itself would discourage any type of illegal on-site consumption or bad behavior, loitering, anything else that would throw a cloud on the neighborhood. There's also the simple fact that economically, the closest dispensary to my home, I don't live in Sutter Creek. I work in Sutter Creek. I rent in Sutter Creek. Did a lot of my growing up in Sutter Creek, but I live in Plymouth, outside of Plymouth. And I'm driving all the way to Diamond Springs right now, where coincidentally, their dispensary is not on the outskirts of town in a light industrial district. Their dispensary is right smack in the middle of town. And their dispensary blends in very nicely with the Gold Rush era village around it. There's no bad behavior there because the customers, just like the people who own the place, are all locals. They don't want any blight in their neighborhood. And I don't think anybody connected with Embark wants to bring blight to Sutter Creek. I think they want to bring a form of retail that this area will support right now. Yeah, people are supporting it by going to other dispensaries. And a certain element of the population is purchasing illegal cannabis from people right here in Sutter Creek that I think everyone in this room would like to see put out of business. And this is a great way to do it. legalized recreational cannabis became reality in California almost 10 years ago. And it's driven a lot of criminals out of business. It's also remarkably lowered the price of the product, and it's legitimized a product that was kept under wraps and hidden in a form of prohibition very akin to what happened to alcoholic beverages 100 years ago in our country. And as soon as we legalized alcoholic beverages, that's when we first knocked the blocks out from underneath the mafia in America. Now, I'm not saying that illegal cannabis is anything like organized crime on that level. Yes, there are the big dealers. Mostly it's some putz growing plants in his garage. But we have the chance to welcome a business that will pay taxes, that will conform to compliance, and that will help support our local economy. And I think that the city of Sutter Creek is showing that it's willing to step up to the plate and join the 21st century by allowing Embark to come into town. About the only grumble I have with Embark's proposed dispensary at 11 Ridge Road is that the Sutter Creek City Council is only allowing one entity to come in and do this. While I understand what you're doing politically, while I understand what you're doing socially,
30
as an
seconds,
amateur
sir.
economist, I got problems only allowing one person in the industry to come in. Other than that, I fully support establishing a dispensary at 11 Ridge Road.
Thank you. Anyone else care to make a public comment?
Hello. My name is Suzanne Hauk,
Oh.
and I've lived in Sutter Creek for 10 years. I want to thank the city council, all of you. Thank you for giving me the time to express my grave concerns regarding Embark coming to Sutter Creek. The following few things are from Glenn Spitzer, the director of the Amador General Services Administration, who gave me permission to share this information. Regarding the behavioral and mental health here in the community, the three relevant county departments impacted within this category are located at the Health and Human Services building on Ridge Road. I heard from behavioral health director, from the public health director, and from the social services director, all expressed various concerns around increased access and use of marijuana by Amador County youth due to the fact that the proposed facility is in the proximity of Jackson Junior High and the county's two public high schools and North Star Academy. This concern is consistent with those expressed to me. This Glenn is speaking. The behavioral health director for Calaveras County. Retail facilities are legal in Calaveras County. With widespread commercial access, marijuana use is now rampant among adolescents at both high schools and junior high schools, where vape devices are routinely confiscated from students. This problem is not unique to Calaveras. The Wall Street Journal recently, 2026, detailed an explosion of marijuana use at the top-ranked Liberty High School in San Diego following the proliferation of retail facilities, many of them, in the city. High schools throughout the state are struggling to address the marijuana epidemic. Marijuana advocates have pushed the legalization and widespread use on a twin message. Number one, marijuana is harmless. Number two, marijuana is good for you. However, serious medical institutions are finally releasing comprehensive studies, and those studies disprove claims of net benefits and prove alarming detrimental impacts, especially for adolescents. For example, the New York Times editorial board has long supported the legalization of marijuana, but changed its position just a few months ago. The Times reported that the big weed and advocates falsely claimed marijuana was a harmless drug and might even bring net health benefits, and that legalization might not lead to greater use. The Times has since changed course this year and acknowledged it is now clear that many of these predictions were wrong. The Times noted that high-potency cannabis increases the risk of psychosis fivefold compared to non-users. They also found that chronic cannabis users have smaller volumes of the orbital frontal cortex, a brain region implicated in motivation, and the hippocampus, a brain area implicated in stress, learning, and memory. The problem is not merely providing greater access to our youth, but in providing THC that is profoundly more powerful. Many, if not most of Embark's products are 90+% THC content. This product is over 20 times stronger than marijuana in the 90s. A typical joint in the 60s to the 90s had the equivalent of 5 to 10 milligrams of THC. For perspective, virtually every vape product sold by Embark has over 800 milligrams of THC. These Embark products change everything. People used to argue that marijuana was a gateway drug. The new and improved marijuana has now become the hardcore drug on the other side of the gate. With the new concentration levels, the THC products sold by Embark are stronger than many street drugs and most prescription drugs. Studies have concluded that the explosion of psychotic disorders among our youth is not simply caused by greater access and normalization of marijuana use, but also from the use of marijuana that is 20 times stronger than the marijuana used in the past. On a very personal note, a few years ago, our youngest son was smoking and vaping high-potency THC oil regularly. We witnessed firsthand in our home the psychotic and hostile behavior that was the side effect of this horrible drug. In the time I have left, my deepest concern is for the youth in our community. They are the targets for all of these pot dispensaries, regardless of the 21-year-old requirement to buy. Friends, family members, people selling on the street will
30
get them,
seconds, ma'am.
thank you, what they wanted. And these kids are the ones who will suffer horrible side effects of this new and improved pot. Sutter Creek has money in the coffers right now. Surely you folks do not want to sacrifice our youth and our great community because you want to use pot to fix potholes, pot to repair the streets. And there are other options, making more needed money for these things. I implore you not to throw our youth and our community under the bus for dirty money. Please vote no
Time's
on
up.
Embark. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else care to address the council?
Hello, I'm Ron Hauk. You've all heard many reasons why putting in a full retail cannabis dispensary in Sutter Creek is a bad idea. By now, everyone here is aware of the dangers and problems that come with selling this mind-altering narcotic drug. The most vulnerable years of marijuana are 15 to 25 years of age, as brains are still developing. Our high schools and even middle schools already have enough problems with marijuana, as you just heard. We don't need to exacerbate the problem by making it easier to access ultra-potent marijuana. Embark knows where the big users of marijuana are, which is why they set up near colleges and high schools. There's an Embark dispensary in San Pablo, about 1,250 feet from Contra Costa College. I know the school, I went there. San Pablo is putting in another one. El Dorado County now has 5 full marijuana dispensaries in operation. Where there is one, others will follow. Other dispensaries are clamoring to come here to Sutter Creek already. Currently, you're doing pretty well on your city budget without mind-altering drugs being sold. The population of Sutter Creek is approximately 2,700 people. The population of Amador County is approximately 41,800 people. The bottom line, this will be the first full retail cannabis dispensary in all of Amador County. This will make Sutter Creek the hub of cannabis in the entire county, 41,800 people. All high schools are in close proximity to this dispensary. In light of all the problems and all the headaches that it will bring our city and county, I have to ask, is it really just about the money? only about the money to fix our city streets and potholes and whatever things, other things come up. We don't need to first try some other ways to raise money if it's only about money. Before thrusting all these mind-altering problems on our community, I have a suggestion. And it will improve the safety of the city and improve your city's budget without further damaging the minds of our youth. As you drive through town toward Highway 49, make all the speed limit signs 25 miles an hour, all the way to the stoplight on Highway 49. Eliminating the 45-mile-an-hour sign at Patricia Lane where cars are even going 55. I live there. You don't even need to post another police car to put out tickets. Just put up an automatic speed camera that photographs speeding cars above 35 or something like that. The city will make money on speeding citations and the city will be safer. And I say this from experience. My wife and I both grew up in El Sobrante, California. Some of you might know where that is. It's by Richmond. From El Sobrante to Orinda is an 11-mile highway. We're running along the San Pablo Reservoir. The speed on this highway is 55 miles an hour and people go 65 because I did. But as soon as the cars come and enter the city of Orinda on the same highway, the speed immediately drops to 25 miles an hour. Everybody obeys the law and decelerates to 25 miles an hour, and I mean everybody, because everyone entering Orinda knew they were going to get ticketed if they were speeding. So the outcome? The people obeyed the law. The city and people were a lot safer, and the city even made money on speeding tickets. Everyone in the area knew it was a hot spot. The same could be done here. By lowering the speed limit out of town and enforcing the law, for whatever reasons you simply don't want to enforce the law currently. And the people know this, and for that reason, they don't obey the law and they speed through town all the time, sometimes 10, 20 miles an hour over the speed limit downtown. We see it all the time. That could be done here by lowering the speed limit out of town.
30 seconds, sir.
So whether you take me up on this suggestion, I'm simply saying that you can do other things to raise money without bringing in mind-altering drugs. This is still a narcotic. This is still a very, very aggressive narcotic that is also habitual. It's one of those drugs. So, and anyway, you don't need to raise the city budget.
Time's up, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else care to address the council?
Hello, my name's Steve Havel. I'm a new resident of Sutter Creek, even though I went to high school here, as other people have mentioned. I just want to be direct. Another community in this county is going to move forward with this. It's just a matter of time, whether it's Sutter Creek, whether it's Jackson, whether it's Plymouth, whether it's Ione, it's going to happen. And as a classic Sutter Creek movement of revenue, we always try to move away from finding new sources and just sticking with the status quo. As someone who's been operating a business here for 15 years with my family, we've been promised a lot and never been given anything. So Key Street's never been paved. There's no revenue. Every time there's a new budget, somehow the revenue for that, all that goes away. So we need new revenue. I just want to say, I understand the concerns about health and safety, but that's a state policy thing. You're not asking the city of Sutter Creek to legalize cannabis. It's already been done. It's legal in the state of California. They create the laws regarding regulations and health and safety. Asking a small town like the city of Sutter Creek to start questioning policy of something that's been around for years and has benefited numerous communities. Speaking about schools, Blue Mountain and Green Gold are 2 to 3 minutes away from all the schools that are in their community. And people I know who live right there don't have any problems because their friends work there. I understand the concerns that we've gotten to this point. I do not like the way that the city went about pigeonholing us into economic decisions based on one provider. I will provide that information and input to the planning commission too. And I think everyone here who wants to have feedback on there is important to go. We can't change the regulations and our ordinances for a company. We need to move forward with allowing it and then opening it up for a larger conversation of what type of business we want in here. I agree with the concerns of residents about Embark, mostly for the fact that they are wanting to be here, but there's also other companies that are more local or other people who are local who would rather invest their own money or local dollars into the community for this, whether it's this year or next year. We don't need to move so quickly just to move quickly. I mean, as we can tell, the city and its residents are concerned. And I think there's a huge concern from a lot of residents that they're not willing to speak that the city failed. They failed in providing communication and transparency. I've voiced that concern to others. So hopefully we can come to a better conclusion, even if it just gets rejected and we move back to the drawing board, I think is the best option. So I approve of it. I think it should be done. Asking the city of Sutter Creek to stop marijuana use in high school is a crazy thing to ask. So let's have legal cannabis and make more money for the city.
Thank you. Would anyone else care to speak on an item not on the agenda? Okay, hearing no one else, I'm going to close the public forum and it's time for the city manager's report.
Just a quick update tonight. So first of all, I want to say several staff have been out on vacation, so things have slowed down a little bit. Just kind of getting the summer month here. But we are expecting to get basically the 10% design on the new wastewater plant at a big meeting we have scheduled on July 2nd. And then I've told you guys for several meetings now, kind of following that, we'll be bringing an item to you about the solar and battery decision and timing and a lot of details around that, as well as giving you an update on this 10% design. And then we also have some smaller ARSA repairs that are being prepped and be starting this week. Some new valves and a new flow meter. Expect weed abatement letters to go out later this month. The fire district's busy doing inspections. We're also looking at potentially sending out a couple of notifications to trim bushes that are extending onto public sidewalks. We've gotten a couple of complaints. Hopefully people will respond to those and will trim them back for us.
Tom, is it your experience that overall it's looking pretty good like it did last year when we first enforced this?
We haven't really gotten a list yet from the fire district.
Oh, okay.
So
just walking around, it looks pretty darn good.
Yeah. And we actually got compliments from the fire district on some of the city properties this year. So that was good.
Yeah.
Hopefully we won't be on the list ourselves. And then today, that first picture there, we had the boom truck out from Jackson. We're working on fixing those swamp coolers for the auditorium. I don't think they've worked for a number of years, and we were finding some parts that were broken. You also have on the capital side, you have the Sutter Hill repaving bids coming to you on the consent agenda tonight. We are working to get the diving board back in operation. Hopefully there's a part that's coming in the next couple of days. And then on Wednesday, Sutter Hill Road is going to be closed. So we're going to be trimming a couple of the trees that are most horizontal. Get all that done before we start the repaving project. And then on the economic development front, the business chambers across multiple counties actually held a meeting in Sutter Creek. Those 2.5-day rural chamber meeting. It was held at the Kyoto Inn. It was interesting to hear kind of what other counties are doing from a chamber perspective. So I just attended for part of a day, just kind of see what they were talking about. And it was good to make some connections to the business centers in multiple counties. We are, in the midst of preparing this grant for a rural innovation grant, which is due at the end of the month. And then Embark did hold a community listening session on Sunday evening. And I think you're aware, but the planning commission packet was sent out on Friday, almost a month before the meeting. So all those materials are out and available to the public at this point. And then we've been operating our pool for 9 days now. Things have been going pretty well. I'm getting word that the lap swim is popular. We are selling more passes and lessons. We do still have availability for private swim lessons, and no incidents so far. We are working on the Amador City Police contract. Pam and I reviewed our website with our website hosting company. We're down to a few issues to be resolved before we launch this new website. And then I also attended a meeting on school consolidation last week, where agencies were asked to comment on potential concerns with traffic and transportation. That's feeding into the consultants that are preparing the environmental documents. So those should come out in August or early September, and then we'll have 30 days to comment before it's finalized.
That's the EIR coming out then?
Yeah, they're doing a mitigated negative declaration, so it won't be an EIR. But they are supposed to propose some transportation management plans and, basically mitigate concerns with what they publish in early September. And then on the community event front, pictures from the Italian picnic parade, which was a lot of fun. We do have our Sutter Creek pool party on July 4th. It's going to be free this year. We had charged entrance fees in the past, and there's going to be music and hopefully some food truck and then ice cream truck. County fairs coming up, and then the Ragtime Festival. And I did meet with Stevens to talk about things we could do in the auditorium. So we're going to be looking at potentially renting some portable air conditioners this year as we kind of investigate maybe a longer term solution.
Will the swamp coolers be up and running by then?
They should be, and hopefully that'll help as well. So, but we are looking at these kind of portable air conditioning units, which if they work, we could consider even purchasing them and then only using them for certain events, so they wouldn't be running all the time. But it's one of the options we're looking at. Then your meetings in June and July, we're looking at some updates for code enforcement, the sewer system management plan. Hopefully the audit probably later in July, and then depending what happens with the planning commission, the Embark development agreement would be coming to you guys. And that's it.
Okay. Tom, you mentioned that 10% planning document.
Yep.
Could you refresh my memory? Kind of what kind of a milestone is that? And
yeah, so we ended up with 3 phases, and the first phase really was getting this regulatory clearance, looking at like FEMA floodplain issues, and
right.
So that's what we're calling kind of the 10% design.
Okay.
The real design, the next milestone would be a 30% design, at which point they will give us a guaranteed price.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Does the 10% step include talking to the water board about creek discharge, or?
I mean, we've already started. That's part of the regulatory. But until we have the more complete design, you just kind of engage with them along the way.
Does it include, Tom, excuse me, the solar aspect that we're going to be talking about? Is that in the 10%?
Yeah, and again, that one's coming earlier because of the grant and the tax incentive requirements around it. They have deadlines.
Yeah.
But what you guys will see is kind of general layout, kind of where everything will be located and sizing and some idea of constructability, basically.
Any other questions for Tom? Public, did you have any questions on the city manager's report? Okay, that takes us,
I want to note that Councilmember Feist has joined the meeting.
okay. Susan, did you have any questions for Tom?
Hi, sorry. No, that was lovely. Thank you.
Okay, approval of the minutes from June 1st.
I had one comment on that. I apologize. I need to find it.
I had one while you're looking.
Okay.
On page 8, under the administrative agenda 9A, Valley View impact fees estimated at $1.6 million. It says in park impact fees, but those weren't all park impact fees.
Correct.
The 4th bullet. Find it, Jim?
Yes, on 7A of the consent agenda was the waive second reading of the surveillance ordinance. And the third comment down was by myself. Councilmember Swift wanted to go on record that the city council at this time has not made a decision to move forward with any vendor. I would prefer that say has not made a decision to move forward with installing an advanced surveillance system.
Duly noted, sir.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, then I'd hear a motion.
I move to accept the minutes as amended.
A second.
Pam?
Councilmember Swift,
Aye.
Councilmember Reardon,
Aye.
Councilmember Feist,
I think I have to abstain.
okay. Abstain, okay. Vice Mayor Cirque, absent. Mayor Gunselman.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, we have a presentation on the agenda for Lisa Kozlowski, but we're going to do that next month because Vice Mayor Cirque wrote a really nice proclamation for her, and she's not here tonight, and I want Julie to be able to read it for her. So we'll do that next meeting. Sorry, that was before the minutes. Brings us to the consent agenda. There's 4 items on the consent agenda. Did anyone need to pull any of these?
I would prefer that we do at least the item on the treasurer and the approval of the Sutter Hill Road. I just have a question about that comment.
Okay, how about A and B?
I'll make a motion to approve A and B on the consent agenda.
I'd second.
Susan, so this is to approve item A and B on the consent, and then we're going to discuss C and D. There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Get the roll call.
Pam?
Okay.
Mhm.
Councilmember Swift,
Aye.
Councilmember Reardon,
Aye.
Councilmember Feist,
Aye. You
Vice
hear me?
Mayor.
Aye.
Yes, I heard you, ma'am. Vice Mayor Cirque, absent. Mayor Gunselman.
Aye.
Motion passes for A and B.
Okay, that takes us to C, the ballot measure.
I was absent that night, and on previously when that topic came up, I was in favor of retaining the current system of an elected position, and I still feel that way. So I'd like a separate vote on that item if someone wants to make a motion.
Sure, and what's in front of us before we do that, did anybody have any
So I just want to clarify,
comments or changes?
you guys passed the motion. This is the language sent to the county registrar.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Then I'll make a motion to approve that item.
A second.
The second, whereas it needs to be corrected to Sierra region from Sarah's.
I beg
Sorry,
your,
where is
I
it?
beg your pardon?
The second whereas, oh wait, never mind, wrong item. We already passed that. The USDA resolution. I'll show you later. It's just a typo.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay.
So we have a first and a second.
Do we want to discuss D2 and do
Oh.
them together?
Sure.
Okay.
So I did want to say, we have our city engineer, Frank, here tonight, because we had this item and we have the next item.
Good,
So-
good. That's great. Jim, I know you pulled it. I have a couple of questions also. Shall I wait for you to kick it off?
Okay, so, in the staff report, with the option item that's listed about maybe is a little extra thickness and maybe some other, improvements. And it says that it might save money in the long run. And, my point or question is, would it be prudent then to, possibly use Measure P money funds to go ahead and approve the option, and if it's going to save money in the long run? And is that a topic that's been come up with the committee that oversees Measure P funds?
Yeah, I mean, that's the intention actually, was to do the add-on and cover the difference with Measure P. I think the bid came in low, but we still need extra funds.
Yeah, the base bid came in budget, but if we want to give some extra life to the road, there's some areas that could use a little more love, some dig outs and subgrade repairs, you know, kind of as you turn from old 49 onto Sutter Hill, you see there's a rough area there, and kind of also where Eureka and Bryce have come into Sutter Hill as
Oh.
well.
So tonight, are we being asked to approve the base and the option? And is that what we're going to do? Are we going to do the option?
Yes, it was meant to be written that way, that
Okay.
you would approve both.
And that's in our budget that we're looking at tonight, I believe,
I
with
just-
Measure P money.
Okay, I just,
But it's not finalized exactly where those budget dollars will come. A lot of it will depend on what ACTC is willing to fund at the end of the day, correct? In terms of,
Yeah, I mean, they did say come back and
Yeah.
if we want to do these extra apron areas.
Yeah.
okay. Those are my comments.
Dan?
yeah, so Frank, I'm glad you're here. So a lot of my questions are on some of the detail stuff, and it was just curious to me, and I'm just going to go from my notes here instead of going back to the actual document here. But it says, there's great disparity between items like aggregate base. The low price I saw was 36 bucks a ton, and the high was 81.50. And I thought, how does that even happen? And what kind of due diligence do we do in looking at those kind of bids to determine what's real? I mean, how can the same marketplace be offering something for less than, 50% of another for the same product?
Yeah, I'm not sure with that. I mean, I did talk with Jeff Campbell
Uh-huh.
in particular because he was a low bidder.
Yeah.
And, things like traffic control, some guys have $60,000 in there.
Right.
Whereas he has a way lower number, but his explanation is like, hey, I have a business here. We're shutting the road down here in 2 days. Like, I know how this road works.
Sure.
Everybody else is just hiring a sub and they're just going off what they think. Like, they think they got to have
Right.
traffic control in both directions all times. And that's not what they need.
And I get that the
Local knowledge.
kind of the labor and that kind of thing, but it just didn't make sense. Even in Campbell's bid from the initial contract to the extras, the aggregate base price from his thing goes from 65 per ton to 85 per ton. And on the asphalt concrete, it goes from 152 a ton to 300 or 230 a ton. And I was trying to wrap my head around that.
Yeah, and maybe the additive alternate is a dig out. We're fixing the subgrade, so maybe it's a little more compaction work, a little more labor to do that. You can't just put 12 inches of base down and compact it at one time. It is multiple passes through to compact.
Right. And I get that again, which are labor costs, but these are material costs in the bid.
No, they're materials, labor, equipment. So
No, but I mean the line item. Doesn't the line item?
no, the line item isn't just the cost of the material. It's the cost of the material, the labor, and the.
Thank you, Frank.
Okay, that makes more
That
sense.
makes much more sense.
Because the
I-
way it's written in this, it's units and price.
I was
so-
misunderstanding. Yeah, thank you. That helps a lot. I get it. I think that's great that Campbell was the low bidder.
Yes, it
That's
works
super.
out, works out perfect. His yard's right there. He doesn't have
Exactly.
to,
Really?
doesn't have to haul, he's not coming from Roseville hauling, trucks and all that.
Right.
He's right there.
Yeah. Good. That's the only questions I had there.
Susan, did you have any questions on this C and D?
No, I do not. I think, how about so you don't have to ask, I'll just raise my hand if I do on the Zoom thing. Does that work?
I can't see your hand, but Pam probably can.
Yeah, Pam's got it.
Yep.
All right, very
that
good.
works. Gotcha.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
So is there an emotion to approve C and D?
Sure, I'd move to approve C and D.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm sorry.
So it's the additional 117 is basically it's the construction management and contingency fund. Is that the additional for the, no, because what I'm saying is it's 617 for the Campbell construction bid. But my question was the additional 117 over the 617, which is 727. What's the additional? I couldn't find it on the budget line of where that additional.
It would be the additional dig outs of the subgrade.
Okay. So that was where because we have to have contingency. I think that was my question, is if the additional bid for the base 2 was 139 from Campbell, did that not include the dig outs?
No,
Are you looking at this?
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. Do I have, maybe
So
I'm
the-
pulling up funny.
The
That was the only question I had. I think it's great to do both. So I was
yeah,
wondering
just
where
a
additional.
little bit of the background, and actually Dan would probably be able to explain this better. We
I guess
were
that-
able to work with
That's no question I was asking.
Yeah, I think so. So the add alternate it's like an upgrade, right? You know, some extra work. There's also the contingency, which I think is the 117 that you might be talking about. So what we're talking about is doing the base, which falls in the budget, the original budget, which is the part that we expect to be covered with ACTC funds, which is our money. It's just our money that's gone to ACTC. And then also contributing city funds to do a more complete job. Is that right, Dan?
Yeah, but the total project cost is 610. It's not 7 something.
610. That's what the city received from ACTC.
And then we'd still have contingency and engineering.
617, 385.
That's the base bid is the base bid, the contingency, the construction management. That's all covered on the 610.
On the 610.
Yeah, if you want to do the additional stuff, that's where the different funds need to come from.
That was because the total bid from Campbell is 617. And we're covered at 610. But then there's another number in there that's saying that the total construction cost would be
727.
Well, Campbell's bid was, he had base bid. So there's base bid plus contingency
Okay,
that we built in.
got it.
And
At base bill, it's mine and have to say that. Sorry. That was my only question.
No, thanks for asking. So the plan and what's into the budget that we're going to get to in a minute is to use all of the money that's ACTC, and then, well, I wasn't at the oversight committee meeting that just happened, but the hope was to use Measure P money to do the additional. So did we have a motion? I can't remember.
Oh, sure. I'll motion to approve, what is it, C and D?
Yes. Jem?
Second.
Okay. Pam?
Okay. Councilmember Reardon,
Aye.
Councilmember Swift, Councilmember Feist,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cirque absent, Mayor Gunselman.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, that takes us to item 9, the resolution to allow micro trenching for the broadband project.
Yeah, so I think Frank and I will split this one up. So if you guys read the staff report, this is a state program to do a fiber backbone across rural California. It's finally kind of reaching Sutter Creek. It was proposed to go through Sutter Creek, through Amador City to Plymouth in this next phase. They were originally going to avoid the town. We asked them to consider going down Main Street, which would bring it much closer to residences that could be hooked up in the future, closer to the high school, and then on to Amador City. We also at the same time have passed an ordinance requiring much more repaving when utility digs up our streets. And they came back and said it was cost prohibitive. And so I guess my opinion as city manager was that this is strategic for the city for future economic development. And I thought we should consider making an exception. It's Frank's job and city engineer's job to protect our streets. So wanted to bring that to you guys. It basically is a variance, whether you want to allow this project or not. You have any comments? Or?
Are you
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
okay? So I read it not only as so we did require that there's more paving a greater distance away from the cut in our new ordinance that we're asking an exception for. But isn't it also they're proposing to do it just a little teensy tiny cut instead of a ditch? Or is that regularly what's prescribed?
Yeah, I mean, they're typically our trenches are fairly deep, like 3 feet. They're asking to do something that's more 1 foot to 1.5 feet deep, and something that's not as wide. But at the end of the day, when they're done, they're gonna repave 1.5 feet over it. So I guess that's probably a little less than what.
So the micro trenching, they go less deep, which saves money. And again, there's no current or anything. It's just a fiber optic cable. But again, there's still going to be a patch on the street, I guess, where they put this thing.
I think I read in your report, Tom, that it wasn't going to impact any of the newly paved streets. So it's not going to impact where we did Eureka or where we're about to do Sutter Hill, because I looked at the map and it was hard for me to discern. Is it really somewhere else?
Correct. It goes up Old Highway 49.
Okay.
Crosses 49 through Valley View and Bowers, and then crosses the highway again.
Up there.
Up
Okay.
that direction.
Okay. And then my other question was, you indicated that if they didn't do the micro trenching, they'd go up to the bypass and just do it up there. And I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask anyway. What would be a disadvantage of having them do the bypass instead of downtown?
Yeah,
Access.
Access.
It's the last connection.
It's just, so we would lose that opportunity.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And Frank, do you know how, do they are there boxes that come up every certain distance where you access the fiber optic cable? How does it work?
I mean, they showed boxes in specific places. I don't have the plans here, but it wasn't like I've seen downtown Jackson, like they have boxes all over, but they weren't showing that on these plans.
Yeah, I think there's only like one hut for so again, this is just the backbone. They're not connecting up to residences. Once it's in place, then other companies can come and offer service to businesses and to houses. And at that point, they may.
Then do they have to dig it up and tap into it again, or how do they?
Yeah, they splice into it. and they're the ones that go to individual houses. And so there may be boxes at that point. I've seen different approaches. They could tap into the backbone and then do wireless to a couple of houses. Depends what a company wants to offer. But, you know, if it's out on the bypass, it's going to be very expensive to bring it to where the houses are.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer if we can get it,
Yeah.
get the backbone through town where it would do us the most good, then I say go for it.
I think, again, I think we could find that making this exception because of, again, the economic development potential. I think the fear is that every single utility will then come and want an exception. And I think we can say, "Oh, we're doing this one time because of the nature of this thing." But if it was, you know, the water agency or PG&E, you know, that's what our standards are for. So like I said, it really is kind of a variance
Right.
for this use case.
Derek?
We also put
Oh, sorry.
that in for our newly repaved roads, which this is not.
Well, yeah, but I think we wanted to avoid streets being dug up over and over.
Right. Derek, Tom was mentioning that potential slippery slope issue of allowing the exception for these guys, and others might want that. Did you have a chance to contemplate that at all? I know you've been busy and out of town for a while. I was just curious if you had a chance to think that one through.
I haven't, I mean, I don't see concerns with what we're doing tonight. I mean, there's always slippery slopes.
Yeah.
But I think we're okay.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, did anyone want to make a motion on that?
Public comment.
Oh, sorry, public comment on this item? No, okay. I'd entertain a motion.
A move to approve the trench as presented tonight.
Second.
Pam?
Councilmember Reardon,
Aye.
Councilmember Swift,
Aye.
Councilmember Feist. Councilmember Feist, she's not there.
So absent?
Yes.
Okay.
Vice Mayor Cirque. Absent. Mayor Gunselman.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-4.
Okay, the moment we were all waiting for. We're gonna swap Frank with Mason here? Thank you, Frank. for
Thanks, Frank.
joining
for
us.
coming.
Thanks, Frank.
Appreciate it.
I'll just.
Me too.
She said she couldn't unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, hi, Councilmember Feist.
Sorry
Would-
about that. I minimized my thing looking at the agenda. But it already passed. So
Okay, would you
either
like
way,
would you like to say aye on that one?
aye.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
that motion passes 4-0.
Okay, that takes us to 9B, the budget.
Yeah. Just a brief presentation. Couple of notes, and hopefully this was clear in the staff report. We had some things happen right here at the very end of the fiscal year that I think left us in a much stronger position than we anticipated. And just trying to explain like how that happened. So we actually saw a $550,000 positive shift here. So just 2 weeks ago, we got $377,000 from the Valley View Commons. Those are for permits and inspections. You know, some of that money will go to cover engineering inspections and things, but it is some additional funds. Also covers our staff time and things working on these permits. We also were very conservative in our forecasting of the Measure P money, the TUT, and that's came in 81,000 more than we estimated. And, part of the reason is it was brand new. We told you guys when we did our budget last year, we were being conservative, and good thing we were. We also saw about 27,000 more in property tax, 17,000 more than we budgeted for TOT, and 15,000 more in sales tax. So all around, it was very positive. But a lot of this came in at the end. And so the last couple of months, we had really slowed down spending. We were concerned that things like TOT wasn't going to come in so strong. And so we actually spent about $60,000 less than we budgeted as well. So when you add all those up, we're ending the year $550,000 stronger than expected.
Say that number again.
$550,000. But again, a big chunk of that,
Is
377,000,
payable.
is
right?
Valley View permits and inspection fees.
Yeah.
So
So
And I made that comment before, that you got to be careful counting the permit fees as revenue, because there's designed to pay for your costs to
they are, but
manage the project there.
but it's more than just paying our contractors.
Right.
And some of it will actually be good for us. It covers our salaries and things. So
Okay, what about impact fees?
so those the laws change. Those come when the project's completed.
Okay, and those are restricted to the.
Right.
Right.
So we are expecting those in this upcoming fiscal year. But we're going to have to keep an eye on it, make sure we're not spending ahead of those impact fees actually coming in.
Right. So Tom, quick question on revenue then. And as we look to next year, obviously we're not going to base anything on the 377 we just got because we don't have a project like that sitting out there. But did we update our math to reflect actuals in terms of building our budget for next year?
Yeah. So like last year, you guys adopted the proposed budget. This year's budget, if you look at fiscal year 25, 26, it says projected.
Yes.
So it's updated based on these numbers. So we're projecting based on everything we know.
Okay. It's
So-
not just projected, updated based on a percentage. It's based on reality.
Yes.
Thank you.
So it's different than the budget you adopted a year ago.
Yes.
Yeah. And so again, you look at these numbers, it looks really dramatic, but you need to realize that there's a lot of fixed costs. So, if you could look at our overall revenue and our overall expense in this proposed budget to what we adopted a year ago, you're seeing kind of a big increase in revenue. You're seeing this big increase in expense in this proposed budget. But again, we'll go into detail. A big chunk of that, $3.5 million, is related to the new wastewater plant.
Right.
On the expense side. On the revenue growth side, the reason the revenue jumped up so much, again, we are increasing our forecasting on TUT. We have the wastewater rate increase. We got the $660,000 from ACTC when we didn't get anything last year. So 2 years ago, we got a chunk of money for our Madre, and then nothing, and then another big jump this year, coming year. And then the impact fees from Valley View are also a big chunk of kind of one-time money. And then we're lucky enough to get some donations and grants. So we're seeing a 28% revenue increase, but a lot of this is kind of one-time money.
Right.
And so that's why you'll see us proposing so many capital projects, which are one-time projects, as opposed to kind of ongoing obligations. So super top level view, the general fund, for this coming year, we're kind of aligning revenue and expenses. On the wastewater fund, we are forecasting a large expense, but that's kind of planned. That's why we've been building up reserves. And again, it's this $3.5 million for solar and battery. And then on the streets tax, the big jump there is the ACTC funds. So I think this is a really useful picture just to get a good feel overall, kind of what's happening in each of the major funds. And so now if we just dive into the general fund on its own, we're forecasting 3.3 million in revenue for next year. 2.7 of that is taxes. And like Jim points out, the other things are cost recovery fees and things like that. And then where did the expenses come from? 1.8 of that in the general fund is personnel. 1.1 is supplies and services, and about 400,000 are capital projects. And again, those are things that we can decide not to do. So, we're recommending that we do it. And for the general fund for this coming year, revenues and expenses are kind of matched up.
That's for general fund capital projects. It's 3.5 out of the enterprise fund for the batteries possibly. And then also we're putting more money towards the freshwater diversion in the Henderson Dam that we have to do.
No, it's I'll get to that, but no, we're not doing that. Yeah, and so we get into capital projects, we have over 30 projects. So as we talked about before, this is bigger than normal. But 76% of that money is wastewater treatment or the I&I repairs, which is another 500,000. So again, 76% of the capital budget is wastewater. It's basically these two projects, the solar and the battery and the I&I repairs. So does that make sense? Or, yep. So then kind of go into the capital plan in detail because it's really kind of the bulk of the interesting part of the budget, I guess. So total capital budget was 5.66 million. Again, 4.1 of it is right here. Right. And we're getting about $1 million in grants and well, a little bit more than that when you add in impact fees. So this list hasn't really changed, I think, since what you guys saw a couple weeks ago. Street and paving priorities. Talked about Sutter Hill Road, a couple of these smaller projects. We have several of these projects on Gopher Flat. So looking at speed cushions, the restriping down the middle, moving the crosswalk, and then completing the Amador City bike path. So if we look at facilities and again, this is the same list you've seen before. We did not fund several of the things for the Monte Verde store. Hopefully the Native Sons grant will come through. And then on the wastewater projects, so they're the two big ones, the I&I projects and the solar and battery. And then there's some smaller ones. So Preston Forebay Water Board has told us we need to make sure this valve works. It hasn't worked in many, many years. We are looking at completing the freshwater diversion. So yeah, you were right about that, Claire. And then a smart cover lift station. Again, with Henderson, we basically wrote Department of Dam Safety and said we believe the project is over, but we're waiting for them to confirm, but we're not planning to do anything in the next year. And then on the Parks and Rec side, again, we got $125,000 donation for the playground. Out of that 140,000, we got the Amador County Foundation grant for the bike track. Yeah, I think none of these have changed from what you saw a couple weeks ago. And then on the public safety side, we have $50,000 for cameras. We'll talk about that in some more detail. The lease on the patrol car cameras. code enforcement funds. And it was added into the budget as well. I think one of you also raised the issue about needing a code enforcement officer or consultant. That's been added in separately. Yeah, and then yeah, weed abatement, and then kind of some smaller purchases. So, and the other thing that if you look at the budget, the reserves are actually going up as well while we're contemplating doing all these projects. And that's coming partially from this end of year kind of benefit where we underestimated revenue, overestimated expense, but also things like sewer rates going up and impact fees coming in. So, in terms of where we end up, we're forecasting that we'll have 72% of our general fund in reserves and over 100% in the wastewater. So very healthy. Exceeds our policies on reserves. And again, we want to be there as we actually want this wastewater reserve to keep going up.
The general fund reserve that's sitting there, a lot of that is Measure P money. So when we choose the next project, as we get through this list, our next major road project, we tap into that or able to tap into that.
Yeah.
Could we do that? Well, I can't imagine finishing the one and all those other projects and being ready to do that this year, but we could amend it if the opportunity arose. Or if it seems more often than not, the streets choose us because something fails in the winter time and then we have to repair it.
Yeah, but I think the major projects, probably one a year, is about what we can handle. But yeah. And then just again, kind of some more summary kind of viewpoint here. So general fund is balanced with revenues covering expenditures. Reserves are going to go up from 6.2 to 8.5. And we're looking at a large number of capital projects, doing 5.8 million in capital, really across the board. And, the other thing I didn't really summarize here is the use of some of the impact fees. So some of the things that initially had shown in TUT, we moved to like park impact fees and a couple of other sources, some of the street funds. So, and Sandy has kindly stayed here till the end. We also met with the TUT committee right before you guys. And I'll kind of summarize their feedback, and then Sandy, you're welcome to make comments too. But I think they were generally supportive of all the streets and storm drains. There were two items that really had a lot of conversation. One was using TUT funds for code enforcement. And again, we had that $50,000 allocated to actually do some legal action to kind of force a cleanup. They took a straw vote. It was 3-2 against using that money. So 2 of them supported it. They saw it as, I think, a public safety issue and just a thorny problem that we haven't been able to solve. 3 of them felt like it was kind of stretching Measure P and that they didn't think that's what people voted for.
Interesting.
And then we also had a long conversation on cameras. And I shared that we've been having that conversation with the council as well, and that any camera purchase would come back to you guys. We talked about security cameras kind of around the city properties, and then the idea of license plate readers and things out on city streets. They felt like that was kind of vague and 2 different uses, and they are 2 different uses. We do have quotes and proposals for both, but I tried to explain what I've said to you guys. We want to put it in the budget, and we'll come back to you guys before we actually, do a specific purchase. So on that one, it was kind of 1-3. 3 of them supported getting the cameras. they still had concerns about leasing versus buying and kind of knowing what ongoing costs were going to be.
When you say they supported getting the cameras, in my mind, we've got two separate camera potentials.
Yeah.
Did you take two votes or just one and lump them in
Kind of
together?
took one, they were kind of lumped together. I mean, again,
'Cause that doesn't.
our oversight committee is two former law enforcement officers and a guy who sold security cameras. So they were,
Fair enough.
they definitely saw that it would help public
Right.
safety and,
Yeah.
it was kind of a separate issue about the use of, license plate recognition and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Um,
Just so I know.
yeah.
Is there the ad hoc, or you're not an ad hoc committee, the oversight committee doesn't disband for the year. If we were to get to a point that the council's considering smart or dumb or in between cameras, is there any reason we couldn't go back to the oversight committee and ask them what they think about that purchase? Or was it just cameras, period? Were they making a distinction? Because I know on the council, we've been making a lot of distinctions about between the two.
You guys can do what you want. I think there's a policy decision that council should make about use of AI and all that.
I meant whether or not it comes out of Measure P funds,
Right.
if we were to do it.
Again, I don't think, I think it was, I think Sandy was in the minority, but I think the committee supported using Measure P for cameras. From a Measure P perspective, there's this other kind of decision about what kind of cameras and where, which I personally, I don't see that as the oversight committee. I see that as you guys.
Right.
So-
I agree. The funding is one thing. The decision about whether or not to utilize the technology and the civil liberties discussion is another.
The council has prioritized code enforcement, and, it's apparent that the way we've been trying to do it hasn't worked, and that's why we, put this 50,000 in here. So is there an alternate source for it in the budget? I mean, we just looked at our, I do see how it's maybe not a Measure P identifier, but I also really think we need to do it.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, it's $50,000. It would take some juggling, I think, I mean, we'd probably have to shift some things that are not Measure P into Measure P and then shift that to general fund. That makes sense. Or cut,
So has it always been
or cut
proposed
some-
to be funded by TUT? And I just
believe
never
so.
noticed it?
I think I had it there the whole time.
Huh.
We had code enforcement prior to the Measure P existing. Well, we called it code enforcement.
Right.
Yeah. I'm
And
just looking-
Sandy made a good point in the meeting we had before this one, where the ultimate decision is council for how we use these funds. And it was passed as a general tax, keep in mind. It's not a special tax, partially because the barrier to get it approved is much higher, but also it limits our use in the future if we decide to morph the use into something more useful for the citizens at a later time. And who knows what we're going to need 30 years from now. Maybe it's something different and these funds can be used for that. The language on the ballot measure at the time does mention general government purposes as well. I do know the focus was repairing roads, potholes, storm drains, maintaining rapid emergency response, police patrols, preventing wildfires. But at the very end, general government purposes. So I think there is a defense there to say if that's what we believe the citizens deserve and need for protection or whatever the purpose may be, there is an argument to be said that if we decide that these funds are best used for that purpose, I think it's appropriate. Just my 2 cents.
Uh-huh. Thank you.
I think we should try to find the funds for the code enforcement elsewhere. If possible.
You showed us that big chunk in reserves. I mean, can we just have less in reserves at the end of the year? if it comes to that, I also think it's going to be really hard to execute all of these projects in a
Yeah.
year.
Right.
So I did move, I'm just looking down to the projects. There was 15,105. That was the planning for the creek cleanup. I think I had that under TUT. I think I got comments that you guys didn't want to spend it on planning. So I had moved that out. I'm just trying to see where.
Oh, so that's 15 of 50, right?
If
So
we moved
now
it
we're,
back. Yeah, I think the rest would have to be reserves because
Mhm.
Well, then, I mean, if we're going to do this piece at a time, I don't know that we need a motion, but I would be in favor of moving that into reserves. Dan, Jim, Susan? Yeah. Actually, why don't you go ahead? Well,
Yeah, let's,
we'll probably have it several times. So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Me too.
But
Well,
I'm,
Get in line.
go until we go home.
I'm going to make some just general budget comments, if that's okay too. So my name is Sandy Spellacy. I live in Sutter Creek. I am a member of the TUT committee, but everything I'm saying tonight is just my own personal opinion as a resident of Sutter Creek. One thing that just struck me when Tom was giving his presentation, I know that the wastewater fees are about to go up again, and I know how difficult that is for a lot of people. And I just think that what's happened in the last few years on wastewater, what you guys have all accomplished is so amazing. I mean, I know when I came here, the feeling of morass and kind of hopelessness about how we were going to be able to move forward just was so palpable for me. And I would love it if the city could do like a little mini storybook at the time that the rates are going up, to tell people like, this is what we're doing with your money. This is how far we've come. All the stuff, with ARSA, just where we're at with, that the fact that we have a 10% plan. I mean, this stuff is amazing to me. And I just think it would be so great for other people to hear that and try to understand it. So,
I agree. Thank you.
so just on the TUT stuff, I was on the losing end of the vote about the code enforcement, and I agreed with Tom that it was really, it's a public safety issue, and I know too much about that problem up there, and that code enforcement in the city really has been done by the police, so it's really kind of a police thing. But we had people doing illegal connections to our wastewater system, and God knows what else going on there. And I think it needs to get done. And I recognize that, and I appreciate your, giving deference to the TUT committee. I did try to make the point that, this was a general tax, and not everything is going to fit within a neat little box. And especially in the future, there's going to be a whole new council in a few years, and they're not going to be, well, not in a few years, but whenever. And they're not going to be as invested as all the people are who worked so hard to make this happen. And who knows, what they're going to decide to do. But I think it's a good use of the funds. I did have a big problem with the security cameras, and frankly, as far as I'm concerned, you could use that 50,000 for the code enforcement. I mean, just take that out. My proposal to the committee was, I couldn't approve this because I didn't know what I was voting for. I mean, when we first had this presented to us, it was AI cameras and facial recognition and license plate reading, and but I didn't really know where they were going to be positioned and who was going to monitor them and what it was going to be used for. And then it came back to us, and it was, well, it could be just traditional security cameras to protect city property, which I don't have any problem with, but it's like, we don't know if that's what the proposal is. So I totally understand that the council is going to have the opportunity to make the policy decision if you decide to go into a more advanced system. But from a financial point of view, I wasn't able to give you a recommendation because I don't know what the proposal is. And I have really a lot of concerns about what databases will be used, how the city will be involved with that, what that's going to cost in the future, because you can't just have a camera that uses AI without access to databases. Some of the entities that I know that have pretty significant databases in terms of biometrics are ICE, our Department of Homeland Security, are the airlines. What's our interaction with them going to be? What's our obligations to them going to be? Tom mentioned that one of the ways that the vendors set up these databases is by their customers providing information to them. So are we now providing that information to some vendor that, I don't know who that is. So again, my proposal was take it out of the budget when the police department has a firm proposal for what they want and how much it's going to cost, bring it back with a budget amendment.
Thanks, Sandy.
I think Julia would appreciate that as well. She's not here tonight, but she had expressed concerns about the same item.
Yeah, and I know the police chief probably would have preferred to be here tonight, but he's probably going to kick me for saying this. But again, if you guys are comfortable with the rest of the budget, maybe a simple way to approve it tonight would be to, remove the 50,000 for cameras, fund the 50,000 for the code enforcement, and then we'll come back with a budget amendment with details on the cameras. And at that point, we'll determine if it's going to come from reserves or
Right.
or we're going to cut back something else. Like we could amend other projects to free up money.
And if we do that, Tom, the net is an additional 50 in reserve somewhere, right?
Yeah, or like I just said, maybe we.
But I mean,
look-
for
we look
right
at some
now.
other projects and we cut them down.
No, but
to-
I mean, right
Yeah.
now, for approving the budget, the net would be that the reserves are.
No, the net tonight would be no camera swap, code enforcement for cameras, take out 50,000.
Yeah, but you've already got enforcement in there at 50 and you've got it coming out somewhere.
TUT. So not take it from TUT, you're saying, right?
So that means there's a bump there. It's a net 50 gain.
I guess I'm suggesting it's kind of merging together what the oversight committee said. You keep the 50,000 for code enforcement from TUT, but pull the 50,000 from cameras.
I'm gonna just interject. I put my hand up. I know it's hard to. I hope I'm not too loud. I'm trying to be quiet, but I have my headphones. I am in accord with Sandy with regard to the databases, and I think just the number of cities that have left with the cameras because the databases aren't really doing what they said they do. I don't think it's the right time for us to get into that game.
Steve, public comment? Okay, well, I think we're gonna have to take a short recess here. Is this a good time? Sandy, are we gonna lose you if we do that right now? Anyway.
She's done her part.
Do you guys want to wrap up this
I
particular item and then
I
have a
like
short
I
recess?
like Tom's approach about taking the cameras out of the budget and then getting more detail on costs and all the other policy decisions that would come around it, and with it, and then if necessary, do a budget amendment.
And at the time of that, we don't have to predict where we'd take it from the budget. If we had an amendment, we could figure that out then.
Right.
So what I'm saying,
For reserve.
right now, there's 100,000 from TUT for cameras and code enforcement.
Right.
I'm suggesting the 50,000 for code enforcement, even though they voted 3-2. So you're kind of overruling them a little bit.
Are we comfortable using TUT for code enforcement, council?
I believe I am, but how the meeting you had and the discussion you had, Sandy, I mean, I know obviously you have a lot of detail on code enforcement because you lived it, but was it pretty clear to the committee what we're trying to do here?
Yeah, I think so one member was absent, but she sent in she wasn't part of the discussion, but she did say, I'm not so comfortable with this. But again, she wasn't there for the discussion. Two other people, just their main concern was it was going too far afield of what had been promised to the public. So that was it. Not that it didn't need to be done or it wasn't important. They're just like, should we be? I think there was a big hang up the fact that it said legal, and I think there may have been some latent, I don't like legal stuff in general coming, but it said, money for one potential legal action, and that was a hang up too. So instead of saying one major enforcement one major enforcement procedure, we used the term legal in there, and that caused some people some issues. Yeah.
So Tom, Larry White now is retired. Where did we paid Larry White to do code enforcement. Where did that come out at the budget?
He retired from code enforcement. He's still doing building inspection,
Okay.
plan checks.
But where did his code enforcement revenue come
I mean,
from?
he was spending very few hours. So,
Okay.
I mean, yeah, he's not charging us for those hours anymore. So
Why-
that's separate though.
Why is it going to cost $50,000? We're talking about.
So that's not the Larry cost. This was what, talking to Derek and Sam, if we were to,
Is it like a kind of
this
a
is
conservative upper limit or upper
I don't know. I don't know. It's
worst,
kind of like it was
worst
the-
case scenario for code enforcement?
I think
Could I
it's,
just add something? Because I spent a fair amount of time on it when I was here. The problem wasn't that we weren't doing any code enforcement. We did have people, I mean, when I was here, it was the police were doing it, but they were going out and telling people you can't do this. And maybe we submitted a citation. The only thing I ever saw were like letters, like this is, you're violating our city code. You can't do this anymore, whatever. The problem was we could never get past. So let's say 90% of the people just complied when they were told you can't do this anymore. But then you have the outliers in this one particular project where they just refuse to do anything. And then you have to take the next step. And so Larry can't do that. And, that's what we need Derek for. And it costs some money. On the other hand, in this particular project, I don't see the potential opposing party having huge amounts of financial resources to bleed the city dry. It's just we have to get to the point where we can get to court and get a court order, and then you can enforce the court order and that kind of thing.
I appreciate that, Sandy. In addition, though, Jim, I think it's not just that one situation. So the idea is let's have enough to get the ordinances updated properly to take the appropriate legal action, but also let's include an extra $20,000 for code enforcement a person, so that we start getting on top of these things. Is that not correct, Tom?
Correct. The 20,000, again,
As a
limit,
part-time position kind
that's
of.
a consultant that would go out and do inspections,
Right.
and file complaints.
So between
then
those
the-
two things, it's the 50
Right.
as a budgeted item.
But the 50,000 is going beyond the letters and filing,
Right.
court orders and things.
Exactly.
I'm very comfortable with 50 plus 20,000 for this, and even
No, it's 50, including the 20.
the 20,000, no. You're,
No.
no which? No to him or no to me?
No to him.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
it's 70
20,000 somewhere else in the budget
Oh.
for the staffing.
I thought-
But in either case, we've established it as a priority. And then when we, go back to our original job, which is listening to what people want and need most.
Yeah.
More than potholes, I hear about these few things and nothing having been done about them in a very long time. And it's not really accurate that nothing's been done, but nothing that we've tried has worked. And I think that we've established we need to take it to the next level. And then also we've certainly learned that we need to not let anything go that far again. And that's, I think, what the money going towards updating our codes and, getting in front of future issues is for. And
And a person to actually be out
and
there.
a person to do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's, for me, one of the bigger, my more prioritized items on this list.
Right. Now, are you comfortable using TUT money to fund it?
Yes, because particularly one of these places, I think, is an absolute public safety hazard.
Agreed.
And, possibly environmental hazard,
Right.
that's part of public safety.
Right.
Susan's raising her hand again.
Yeah, again, I hope I'm not too loud. I don't know how to, because we can't control the volume in the room. So I'm trying to speak quietly. I think the 50 plus the 20 starts to feel like a lot, especially because there are only a couple specific cases, and I'm all on board to get this done. But that just feels a little unwieldy as far as the adding the 20,000 in staff.
Susan, can I ask you a clarifying question? I hear you're concerned about the total number of 70. Thank you. What I don't know is, are you comfortable using the TUT money to fund this enforcement items, whatever they end up being?
Yes.
Thank you.
I just don't want to see that we put 20,000 in the budget for this staff member when really there's only like a couple cases, and then all of a sudden like it's an ongoing cost that maybe could have been dealt with in-house. I don't, I'm not certainly not expert in this.
So the
20,000 is in this budget that we're looking at already. Is that right, Tom?
yeah, and that would be
it's
an
just-
hourly code enforcement
Yeah, and
officer.
it's consulting type contract work, so we wouldn't pay it unless it was used. And again, nothing we've done thus far in-house has worked. So, I think it's going to take a next level.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I hear ya.
it's not adding 20,000 to this chart we're on right now. There's already 20,000 somewhere else is it in the engineering sheet, Mason, or what department is that? Planning, engineering, somewhere else?
Just looking for it.
While they're looking, I'd also add that when we've had meetings prior to this, and some of them are closed session because they're open cases, but some of the numbers that we were hearing were way bigger than that of what we may have to spend to deal with some of these problems. So $50,000 doesn't shock me.
Yeah, it's in the building inspection budget.
Did you hear that, Susan?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
So the 20 is already in there?
Yeah. I mean, if that's what it's going to take, I think the problems that we're dealing with are significant, and we have an onus to take care of it.
Okay. Boss,
How about that recess? 5 minutes?
5 minutes.
Okay. Everybody knows?
Hi, Susan. Good. How are you? You look well? Good. How's your little dog? You still have her? Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, good.
The 100,000 what? That's what I don't know how it doesn't. It has to. Well, that was my understanding. Oh, yes, it's a state. Well, it's not quite that.
Hey, Mason.
And we're back. Thank you for that, guys. Susan, are you there? Susan, we're back. Are you back?
I'm
Maybe
back. I have my headphones on. I was just outside.
Okay. So I think we resolved that last issue, but just to recap, I'm going to say what I think I understand, which was that we had $100,000 in this budget in front of us, 50 and 50 for code enforcement and cameras, both out of TUT. And we're going to strike the cameras, which leaves 50 for code enforcement. We're going to leave it as TUT, and then our TUT reserve goes up 50 by that action. Is that right?
Yeah, when you guys make a motion, I hope you'll acknowledge the need for cameras and just say like, we'll bring back a budget amendment or something. Like that you're not saying no to it. We're just going to come back later.
Well, I think acknowledging a need would say we're saying yes to it, and I don't think we're doing that either.
We can motion something neutral though, I think, to just,
That we'll
yeah,
see it again or, yeah.
right, if and when
Consider it.
Yeah, that we bring back
it's
up.
brought
Or
forward.
something about if there's like further investigation and we find it necessary, we can amend the budget as such.
Right.
When you guys make the motion, we can add that. Okay. Stephen, are you ready to go or do you want us to keep moving? Okay. Sure. I just have some smaller itemized kinds of questions. The only thing I wanted to say still on this sheet, the capital sheet, is specifically the Gateway Park beautification and then the flower wall and a couple of items like that. I just want to ensure that we don't do those until we do a solid cleanup of Miners Bend first. I don't think that needs to be written in the budget. We've already discussed that, but I just want to make sure that's prioritized. Do any of you guys have any feelings on that?
I would agree. Just because of the feedback we've gotten about keeping that place looking good. And I think it's important.
I would include it in your motion.
Okay. So we have to, whenever we make a motion, I hope we include that, motion makers.
Okay.
Miners Bend and cameras. Okay. Did anybody else want to add something or should we,
I don't have.
want me to keep shooting? Jim?
Keep shooting.
Okay. I'm not sure what page it's on. I'll keep looking for it, but the marketing budget, there was a couple of places, there's 8, what page are we on for that? 96. I was not sure what went where. We generally make some donation to the visitor center, and I didn't know if that was in here. And then also, I hope that we're continuing, it's my hope that we're continuing with Christian, and I want to make sure that that's still in the budget.
Yeah, those are both in there.
Okay. So if that's the case, oh, here it is. Is Christian part of the internet services?
Yes, that's my understanding.
And then how much do we propose giving the visitor center?
I think it was the same amount. I think it was out of that promotion sponsorship
Yeah,
line.
it is. Yeah. I just don't remember how much they had requested.
Well, we had left some other money in there for other promotions and concerts in the park and things like that.
Yeah.
I think it was like 5,300.
That sounds, I was gonna say between 5 and 6, I think.
I was going to say 5,500.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that gives us another 3,500 bucks, $2,500 for sponsorships throughout the year.
Okay. And then the advertising in there last year, or was it 2 years ago, that we contributed along with the business association to that
Magazine.
big California ad thing. Does that come due again, or would we have this money to possibly do something else?
She usually rounds up 5 or 6 people.
Yeah.
So we did it again last year. It's kind of in that budget.
But it doesn't blow that whole budget, right?
No.
No.
What I'm asking, there's still some room in here for when things like that come up or another joint opportunity, joint venture. You know, we have the new lodging people, we have the new winery people. There's something in here when we want to tag along with them on something.
There's not a lot. I mean, we're talking a couple $100 here and there.
I think if I remember right, that California magazine that we went in with Lisa and all of them on, I think we spent like $300,
Right.
I think, for our portion. So
Yeah. So when you talk about the Vintners Association stuff, we're not contemplating a lot of money.
but I do think there's cushion there for other opportunities that come up to help our community members push their message.
I think the Heritage Wine District is finding the assessments they are collecting is coming in higher too than they anticipated. So that we might be okay on that.
And then last year we budgeted $5,000 for new Christmas lights, and I'm not sure that we ever got them. The
We did.
swag, we did?
Oh, we did not buy a new swag. No, we did not buy a new swag. I think we replaced a lot of the bulbs.
Yeah,
And it
we
was
did.
very expensive. I don't remember, did we change the color last year? Or we changed the color the year before.
I don't, 2 years ago.
I think it was 2 years ago. Yeah, we went from white to like the multicolor again.
You know, each year, yeah, we replace bulbs and strands and things.
But we did not replace a swag.
I would like to see more money in each of these categories for things like that. You know, maybe 5,000 spread amongst things. We go through this every year, and we as a city have done a tremendous amount more to help with the businesses on Main Street. And a lot of that has been efforts and working together, and, you know, the economic development programs we're doing. You know, we've reached out, Tom goes to all the meetings to work on their projects. You know, I know that we're doing that, and I think it's really important, but we've also kind of starved this budget for years that were really slim. And this year's a little bit better. I understand it's one-time costs, a lot of it, but we do have a little bit more. And I think when every once in a while, I don't know what they are because I don't know what's going to come this way, but every once in a while, there's an opportunity for $1,000 or $1,500 that is unique and can pay back tenfold. So I just want to have something there. So should they arise, there's not a lot of heartache and we can take action.
I
So-
100% agree with this. And I think that if like that's such a great time for the businesses and for the town and the hotels. And if we lean into that, we could really get more press attention, like probably even nationwide. And also there's a lot of opportunity with that week from Christmas to New Year's that could be really helpful for everyone involved as far as driving traffic and revenue. And what I just can't not say this too, I just think we are so well positioned for this. And if that's such a small amount of money that could really come back to us in sales tax and TOT in a big way.
To what account?
So again, just to know what to do with the budget, I would say we do have a couple of contingency funds. There's a little bit in the city manager budget. There's some in the council budget. I don't know if you're proposing we change the marketing budget, or maybe we just keep our eyes out this year. And if something comes up, we could pull it from a contingency. And then maybe next year we
How much are in those contingencies that you're referring to, Tom?
Actually,
The
council is 0.
The
Yeah,
city manager contingency fund shows $10,000 spread across Fund 1, 3, 10, and 80.
So if I was proposing adding $5,000 to this budget,
I'm suggesting leave it as a contingency budget with the understanding that like we've been managing the marketing budget to budget. But if you want to see a couple of things, we could just pull it out of contingency if something comes up rather than try to like rebudget on the fly. I don't think it's a good practice.
okay, so if we wanted to get new swag, Christmas swag, let's say,
What do you mean
would
by
that be
Christmas swag?
the swags,
Across the
Oh,
I think that might be more like a ton of money.
Take that down.
are you talking about
and
replacing
fund
the
what you
existing
got.
lights or just new ones?
Yeah, which I think we've included in the budget a couple years in my time and it hasn't been done
But
because
you
they're
think-
falling
you
apart
think a
and they
cou-
droop
cou-
and they
couple
look
of 'em-
awful.
Okay, a couple of them look bad. We get the same exact one, just newer.
Well, I don't know. I'm not up on my Christmas swag
okay.
game,
Well,
but
we're not gonna
I
replace
kind of,
all of them.
no,
I-
not all of them. I'm not suggesting all of them. I'm saying, they are deteriorating and it shows on some of them especially. So,
I have a feeling though, Claire, those might be like kind of like a $15,000 gig. You mean like the cute things that go over the street, right?
yeah, we had 5,000 last time. I assume that number came from somewhere. I think Dan put it in there and it was specifically, Mason's nodding his head.
Yeah,
That's
but
right.
he
right,
spent
Mason?
it. Like you said, we buy a lot of bulbs and strands,
But
but
yeah, I think that's just lights. You're talking about the actual like banner type light up stuff, right?
Yeah. I the amount of the money that I think we had in the budget, we definitely did not use that money to buy a new swag. I don't recall how much I've never shopped around for them. Part of the problem, if I remember right, is that those are because they're so dated now, finding some that look similar is difficult.
I think the word is vintage.
Fair. It's got a vintage look
Sorry.
to it. But I do see when we order the bulbs to go through and replace, they are expensive. That they are shockingly expensive. It hurts. It's like a gut punch.
And the Santa Claus with the crooked neck, I'm sorry, maybe he's vintage or whatever, but I feel sorry for the poor guy. We need a new Santa Claus because it gives me a headache every time I see that poor guy with his crooked neck.
Well, and vintage and tatty are different things.
That's fair too.
Stephen has something to say.
I'm gonna just say some numbers that I didn't have a whole lot of time because I'm trying to bring tourists into Sutter Creek, which is 30% of our revenue, as based on what Tom has said. We're budgeting 1.4 cents to every dollar of that amount to marketing. To increase TOT and to increase tourism, we have to have the city who relies on tourism, wineries, hotels, and the complaint about them not increasing is that there's not enough of those businesses, which is, there's no room for any more of the businesses. I would say there's almost zero vacancy on Main Street right now. There's 2 buildings, but the wineries bringing in additional sales tax revenue through Measure P, additional TOT funds that is directly related to wineries. And the reason that you don't ever see us here is because every time we have asked for money to be designated for promotion that the wineries do ourselves, like Wildflowers and Wine that we try to bring in every year, which brings in out-of-town guests that stay in hotels, that spend an average more dollar amount in town than I would say our local residents do during those weekends. It's 14,000. What was that? What was the budget for this year? It's budgeted at 14,837. That was from last year.
Yeah, there's parts of there are things that aren't in here, like the
Which is a-
parking lot rents or what Mason ballpark far more than
Yeah,
than
which,
taxi.
which I think is a transparency thing. Internet services, $6,900. One, internet services shouldn't be in the marketing spend. If it's going to be, is it going to be marketing? It has to be line items. So then the city knows, the city and us know where it's spent. I don't know where any of this money is being spent. And 14,000, take out internet services because that's not marketing. I don't have it be line item marketing. That's crazy. So it ended up being $9,400. You're talking about spending money on Christmas decorations. With the Christmas decorations money came out of advertising, it looks like, instead of actual holiday decor. These are just so minuscule amounts of money when we're saying about $800,000 of the revenue is coming from tourist-based activities in the city of Sutter Creek. That's upsetting from a winery's perspective. It's upsetting as a resident of Sutter Creek. That's upsetting as someone who's lived here. I've been here for 20 years, which doesn't make me a resident for a lot of people, but I've lived in the community. It's the same problem we have with the county. The cities, Plymouth has been willing to provide TOT money to the Vintners Association over the last few years, which has actually helped bring in more visitors into Plymouth. Having all of the TOT funds be directed to the general fund, I think is a misappropriation of funds based on where that money is coming from. I mean, it's $350,000 basically that's being budgeted, and $14,000 is being budgeted for marketing. I think that's poor service. So I'm going to say that. I think this shouldn't be, the motion shouldn't be moved at all. I think this has to be taken back to the drawing board. I wish I spent more time on it, but like I've told council members and other residents, it's the city has never done it, and they've refused to do it to help us, where we then have to carry the heavy weight of the city to then help fundraise. We donated wine for the duck race. The community is fundraising to help maintenance buildings in the city of Sutter Creek. You wouldn't be able to raise all that money a lot of times if a lot of us aren't advertising it. I mean, we're spending our own marketing dollars to bring people in. The least the city could do is spend an appropriate amount of money in marketing dollars that comes from the TOT funds. So those are my feelings. Very upset.
Yeah.
About them.
I want to chime in here too, because I've said this in years past, and I did some research with regard to Sonoma and other counties. And I do think that when we're looking at how much of our budget's funded by sales tax and TOT, that the correlation is not fair, for lack of a better word, or not even wise. I think that we could lean into that. And the one place I'm seeing, I love that we're having a little bit of social media, but if we had a real digital marketing kind of person around that we paid, not, and it is problematic to do this on the fly, as Tom said, but I need to chime in because I completely agree with what you said. Like a real, like someone that's going to actually get us seen. I think that I think it just makes sense. Because I've been the last, gosh, it's almost been 4 years now. I just haven't seen us really. I mean, the people that are on the street and staying in the hotels are not our residents. And I'm love that. I think one of the reasons it's such a great place is because we're doing such good things for our residents and we have this authentic place. But when you see the money from TOT in a lot of other counties is put back into driving traffic to generate even more of that.
So we are spending way more money than is showing in quote the marketing budget. That marketing tab is really just a couple little add-ons, and part of it's mislabeled. So internet services is digital marketing. It's not internet. There's a lot of money in public works that's going towards different kinds of beautification efforts. Claire pointed out, we pay quite a lot of money for public parking lots. I think a lot of what the city does, what the city staff does, portions of our salary. I mean, if you add all that in, it's probably $100,000, $200,000 in terms of support. So we just don't pull it out as marketing kind of standalone. We don't really think of the budget that way. So, and I think it's just kind of historically we called this tab marketing. But I think it's really spread out through a lot of the different tabs, more accurately. And then, the county did form these two new business districts, the Vintners and the hotels, and they're raising hundreds of thousands of dollars to market Amador County. And so I guess I viewed the city as where we can leverage our money and leverage our efforts to support that stuff. We do it, but we're not funding marketing on that same level. I think together I forget it was the number $800,000 a year or something now for marketing Amador County. So I guess that's just my perspective that, city staff and our city funds are going to try to keep the historic district looking great. We do have a lot of events where we have, police and public works involved. We don't charge for time or anything. So, respectfully, I don't think that marketing tab really captures the efforts that are being made.
Thank you for those are all like dollar amounts that I appreciate you bringing up.
We
I think
also have
that-
in this budget the flower wall and the gateway beautification.
Right.
Well, directly, you're saying all these things other cities do. You're not allocating TOT funds to marketing dollars. It all just gets funneled into the general fund, which is a mistake from a city perspective. The city of Plymouth allocates $60,000 from the TOT funds directly to support TOT activities. I mean, you're talking about they are the gateway to Shenandoah Valley, but Sutter Creek is where people come and stay, which is why we have such a large TOT fund. I mean, if you're saying we're spending all this money for marketing dollars, it's not. I mean, you're talking about city beautification, something the city has to do regardless, because it's what people are asking for. You're talking about, well, what are we doing from a city's perspective that you can prove from the TOT funds that is directly trying to increase the TOT funds? I mean, for me, I don't see the city really doing its part from a perspective of where that money is coming from. We want the right people coming into town. We don't want to keep having the same people coming in. We have to find new forms of revenue to bring people in. You're talking about money coming from the Vintners Association. They're not going to spend any of that money in Sutter Creek anytime soon. Most of that money is coming from Shenandoah Valley. Shenandoah Valley is struggling. Napa is down 16% in visitors. Amador County, fortunately, in the Sierra Foothills is up 9% in visitors because we're a lower cost region. Unfortunately, I think everyone should raise their prices. We're not going to see an increase in TOT funds unless we, as residents of Sutter Creek, actually look for the city to help support that. And I funneling it all into general fund is I think a deceptive.
Do you have some, like, what does Plymouth actually spend the money on?
They spend it on the events for the fair. They spend it on money for the Vintners Association. They've helped with the Four Fires events that we've done. I mean, a lot of that money, they sponsored the Four Fires 2 years ago, which they actually enjoyed doing. It's less about what the city of Plymouth is doing and $14,000, which is misappropriated for what you're actually saying is being spent.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
Yes.
it may be we may have similar dollars in our budget just elsewhere. So it'd be good to know precisely
get
what they spent
that.
the money on.
I get that, but you're directly relating it to, you don't know what that money is now being spent on from a TOT perspective, unless you're tracing the actual funneling of dollars, which based on my overlooking of the general fund, it's very difficult to actually tell.
Right. I mean,
where it's being allocated, and all these other city projects that the TOT is funding, I think is important.
I mean,
Putting the marketing, my thing
Yeah.
is you're putting the marketing, and I understand we're running late. I get it, but.
No,
it's-
but if
it's-
you said Plymouth was buying radio spots or ads, and yeah, we're definitely
Well,
not.
And I think that we are really well represented as far as the events and the draw from them. But what I don't see is that, like, with regard to digital marketing, what I'm talking about is like a real expert that knows how to go into the back end of these social media sites and really target the people that we want to get. That's just always been my goal, is to grow that. And I'm sorry I haven't spent more time on it, but I do think that we are not monetizing social media as well as we could.
So Susan, last budget, we had the same conversation, and then we hired Christian Cardona, and she's been with us about a year, and she's still with us in this budget. It's right here under internet services. I feel that she's doing exactly all the things that you're saying. I think that she's vastly improved our social media, and she is an expert, and she's a consultant, and she's doing all those things you just said.
Is that the one, the women that are on Main Street?
she's our social media, or what's,
Yeah.
She has I mean, yeah, I think Susan, you're asking if she has a office on Main Street. Yes, Tailored Marketing has a location on Main Street, Sutter Creek. Yes.
Yeah, I think that we've really increased our presence and I'm thankful to them, but I think that we could do better. I think that we could, because I've had, various contacts through my thing, and I reached out to a gentleman who, because I saw with a show I had, that like he didn't just like create content, he didn't just get out there. He literally opened up the back end of Facebook to me, and I've never seen anybody do this. Like, it's not like boosting. It's like, and it wasn't anything that I think that we're doing right now. It was, I mean, you just, for lack of a better way to explain it, you literally clicked like in 17 different places to target your audience. And then it would pop up these videos that would then like click here to buy tickets. And it's nothing like we're getting. I don't think we can solve the problem here, but I just wanted to say that I agree. I think that we need more people. I think we need to, and also that we need to have a more varied demographic of people. And we have such a wonderful product, and I think that we can't solve the dollar amount right now. But I just wanted to put my 2 cents in that I think we could do better, and I think that it would make us money.
And I do see that Plymouth has this grant program where people can apply to spend TOT funds to market organizations and things.
I think where I have always hoped, and again, like I didn't really feel like I ever made much headway, but what I had always hoped, and it would be just like a very targeted and professional movement with a direct focus being Sutter Creek, and not like there's so many entities in Amador County, and I think that if at some point we can figure out how to way to just get Sutter Creek as this really strong brand, that if it popped up in my Facebook and Folsom, I got in my car and went there. And again, I'm nothing against what we're doing now, but I think we could do even better.
Dan, Jim?
I'm listening. I mean, if we can increase it, I'm fine with that, but I'm fine if we can increase it, but do we have it in the budget? That's what it.
Well, it's such an important discussion to be having, and having it here at the 11th hour as we're trying to pass a budget, just to put money out there that we don't even have a plan for what we would do with it seems a little odd to me at this late hour. Yes, these are important things, but waiting until literally when we're about to pass the budget to try to develop all this stuff doesn't seem reasonable to me.
I agree. I agree. We can't
let me
really
finish,
change it
Susan.
now. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So, if Tom, you indicated, you had $10,000 or something in a deal. How about just for right now, what if we just took, half of that and threw it into marketing as a step toward, developing more of this idea over the next months toward next year's budget? And also keeping in mind that I've only been on this, sitting up here for 2.5 years, but this is the first year we've ever had, 2 cents left over to even be thinking about it. We've been trying to just, get by every year. So we got to keep that in mind also. We feel like we're rich for a minute here because we've got some, reserves going up. But let's do it thoughtfully. Let's do it. If we can take an immediate action for $5,000, Tom, and move 5,000 of that into marketing, I'd be all for that. But I would say further, let's develop more of a marketing focus over the next, months, so that by the time we hit next year, if we want to have a more robust budget, it's a well thought out budget with actual goals and objectives.
I would say one thing to think about is a lot of what's in the marketing budget is eaten up by expected sponsorships, right? So every year, Kit Carson,
Well,
every
yeah,
year the fair wants
Exactly.
to have a window. You know, the visitor center I think is a great one,
right.
but there's a bunch of these little ones that that's where all the money goes.
They add up. Yeah.
We're not really doing anything strategic, right? And so just putting more money in the pot, I don't want to just sponsor more of
Right.
these events that are
Exactly.
happening anyways, right?
I agree.
Well, and I think when I opened this can of worms, that's what I meant is I know we've got Christian in there and we've got the visitors center in there and there's just a few $100 in between for
I mean,
that
there's like
kind of stuff.
yeah,
And that's really what I was referring to. And then and swag. I mean, when it comes to the greater, we've had this discussion year and year again about whether TOT tax funds marketing. And I still don't think it's the city's position to do the marketing the way we really support our downtown businesses is by preserving downtown. And, you know, there's a whole lot of things we don't have and don't do in our city to keep our marketable product, which is our main street. And, you know, that's kind of the payoff. And it is the beautification and it is the restrictions and the preservation and all of that. So when I open this can of worms, that's really what I was saying. The small things that come by. I just wanted to have a little bit of money to be able to participate, especially the things that are joint projects, you know, like that California magazine where we match the business association and other groups and do something together. Those are cool opportunities that I think it makes sense for the city to participate in. And I wanted to make sure there's a few $1,000s for that. So what Dan's saying works for me at this point.
but I just want to be clear because we are participating in those ad buys and things. But
And you feel you're well funded to do that?
I'm thinking if we had 5,000 more and the high school wants us to sponsor something or some other group in Amador County wants us to sponsor their thing, I mean, the $5,000 could go and we could be listed as one of the sponsors. I don't think
Okay.
what you
Then-
guys are asking us to do. Right?
No, that's right. It's not.
No,
It's not what we're asking.
no. In fact, sorry to be so passionate about marketing and not have been talking about this more so, but absolutely, like it could not go to that. In my mind, it would have to be like creating and implementing, and it's a little teeny bit of money, but a strategic plan that will actually get people into those hotel rooms and spending money on Main Street. And I had another thing to say about that. Oh, I know. I think this would be really good timing to start on this and start talking about it, and then hopefully be able to spend more money on it once the idea is like well conceived of and ready to implement. Because Sacramento is growing so quickly, and we are so close to the Folsom and El Dorado Hills corridor and all of 50 there. And I think as the city of Sacramento continues to get more and more crowded, and the demographic is trending a little more affluent as well. Those would be dollars that if we right now can get ahead of the curve and just get everyone being like, I mean, I sell wine in Sacramento and people are like, where's Amador? I mean, in there, right there in our backyard. So I love the idea of that 5,000, if that's the right dollar amount. Absolutely needs to be earmarked for specifics of like very professional marketing campaign, not to do more sponsorships. And I would love to see that. And then maybe, well, we would then need to get that marketing committee back together and actually meeting, because it never went anywhere. It just became kind of fizzled out. So I would love to help with that.
So I know it's getting late. Maybe I could read back what I've heard as like a potential motion. So I think you'd approve the budget with removal of the $50,000 for cameras, where we could bring back a proposal and a budget amendment for consideration in the future. We would prioritize the cleanup of Miners Bend over the flower wall. And we would increase the marketing budget by 5,000 and decrease the contingency by 5,000.
But I'm fine with that 5,000 for marketing, but it needs to be earmarked so it doesn't go just
We don't want to throw money at a wall.
right. But I don't know how, I'm not anywhere near an expert on social media and how you get the most bang for your buck. That's got to be,
Yeah. That's what I was trying
somebody's
to
got
say.
to
is
figure that out.
I don't think us spending money on a strategic marketing plan is going to compete with these business improvement districts where they have
I
hundreds of
didn't,
dollars to do
I
that.
didn't mean that. I meant more like we come up with the strategic marketing plan. I mean, $5,000 if you're going to hire a marketing agency they wouldn't even like call you back. But maybe what we could do is, sorry, I'm just thinking on the fly here.
Yeah.
That $5,000 would have to be there. A concept would have to come up in the marketing committee, come back to council, and then be voted for on the spend.
I think that we added Christian last year. We're staying with that, and I think she's wonderful. I think $5,000 in there can address some of the things that we could participate in, as well as,
She can do.
improving replacing some fallen apart Christmas lights, things like that. Not lights, swags, whatever.
Yeah, the full thing,
Yeah.
the whole
I just
shebang.
looked it up in
Or the Santa with the broken neck. So, a little bit more
He's
here for
vintage.
things like
He's
that
good.
is what I intended.
okay.
Yeah. So not to work out all the details. That's why I was trying to summarize an emotion. I think if you guys could,
I like your summary. Keep going.
well, that was it.
Okay.
So are we ready for a
I'll
motion?
make that motion as summarized. Can I do that, Derek? Just
Yeah, yes, you can. I'll ask the clerk, does she have the motion? Pam, do you have the motion, Pam?
I can send it to her.
Okay. Just as long as
Thank
the
you.
record reflects what it is.
So if the motion stands, I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Pam?
Councilmember Swift,
Aye.
Councilmember Reardon,
Aye.
Councilmember Feist,
Can you read the motion?
sure.
Yeah. So to approve the budget presented, removing the $50,000 for cameras, which could be brought back with details in a budget amendment for future consideration. Prioritize the cleanup of Miners Bend over the flower wall and increase the marketing budget, shifts $5,000 from the contingency to the marketing budget to buy
Thank you.
to buy one Christmas swag.
They are like $3,000. I just looked it up.
Leave that out of the motion.
Yeah, please, I can't, I vote yes.
Is that a yes, Councilmember Feist?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Vice Mayor Cirque, absent. Mayor Gunselman.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, mayor and council member reports. Susan?
I am going to try and put back together our marketing committee and look forward to that. And thank you all.
Jim?
We all know that the Italian picnic was last weekend, not the most recent last weekend, but the one before. And I think it went really well. There were some good crowds up at the picnic grounds. I think the parade went really well. The Italian Society is working very hard to find new entries, find some music bands that we can get. If you recall, there used to always be at least one or two bands, maybe
right.
three in the parade, and we're working hard to try to bring that back. I want to thank especially the city staff for their help, and the Public Works and police department and their reserves and volunteers. Without their help, it wouldn't be possible to put on the parade. It's a big job for traffic control, and I just want to acknowledge and thank them for their help.
I thought it went great. Thank you, Jim and society. And it was harder too because it was graduation weekend. So you
Yeah,
competed
that's-
against that.
yeah,
But when I was at the
it
park, it
hurt.
looked like there were a bunch of people.
But it was a good time.
It sure was, Jim, and thanks for all your work on that too.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
really great.
Dan,
I don't have anything tonight.
I don't either. Derek? Information and correspondence? I had a question for Dan, but he's not here, so I can take it up with him later. Anybody else?
Is it something quick or it can wait?
It can wait. Okay, there's no closed session. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Susan. You coming home one of these days?
I'll be there on the weekend. Jazz on Saturday.
Okay.
Gypsy jazz. Yeah. All right. Ciao.
Take care.
Solstice.
What'd Jim say?
Bye, guys. Oh. That's fine. Yeah. Yeah.